Hi, I'm Frank Rumbauskas, author of the book, Never Cold Call Again, Achieve Sales Greatness Without Cold Calling. Now I'm here to talk to you today about cold calling, very specifically about why cold calling is dead and why it doesn't work anymore in today's economy. Now I bring this up because cold calling for decades and decades was not only the #1 choice to generate new business, but the only choice. The problem is that we're now in the 21st century and cold calling is still being taught to salespeople as the one and only way to generate new business. In fact, there are a lot of attitudes out there in the sales world that a real man cold calls and doesn't use other techniques to get people to call them. Well, that's absolutely ridiculous. So I'd like to explore some of the reasons why cold calling is dead in today's economy and does not get the results that it did 10 or 20 years ago. First of all, cold calling destroys your status as a business equal. The #1 concept that I teach to salespeople is that to be successful and to get the business of others is that you need to be seen as an expert, as a professional, as a trusted business advisor. The problem when you make a cold call is that you don't look successful. You look like you've got nothing else to do but to go out and try to scrape up some business and hope that somebody will talk to you. If you call a brain surgeon because you need brain surgery and that person says, "Come on down because I got nothing going on," you're probably not going to get brain surgery from that person. The same is true from selling. If you go out and you create the appearance that you've got nothing to do, you're not busy, you don't have clients and customers, people will interpret that as being incompetent and that you don't have the professionalism, you don't have the respect of your clients, and therefore you've got nothing to do. Another big reason cold calling no longer works is that it is inefficient and it wastes time based in a real-world selling model. Now, most people are taught to take your quota, divide that by the average dollar amount per sale, divide that by the number of proposals you need to get a sale, divide that and blah, 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 and so on and so on. Now, in theory, that works. In reality, there's a very huge problem with that formula because salespeople who are brutally honest about how many cold calls it takes to get a qualified appointment, not someone who's going to waste your time, but a qualified appointment who has a need for what you've got and who has the money to pay for it, you just can't make enough cold calls to get enough of those qualified appointments to make your numbers. And so when you look at a real-world time model, that formula does not add up. There simply aren't enough hours in the day. Another big reason not to cold call is that cold calling annoys people, plain and simple. Nobody likes to receive a cold call. Think of what happens when you're at home eating dinner and your phone rings. You don't like that. Well, it's no different for a business person sitting in an office when they get a phone call. They're very busy. They've got things stacked up on their desk. They don't want the phone ringing to take phone calls from salespeople. What professionals like to do is find someone who has what they need and make the call to that person. And that's what I teach salespeople to do, how to position yourself to receive those phone calls. Another big problem with cold calling is that it may be illegal in many areas. For example, we know about the do not call law, which goes for residential cold calling. Everybody knows about that. There's some more specific laws. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's against the law to make a cold call to anyone, business or consumer, without a license to do so. A lot of salespeople don't know that and they get themselves in trouble by making the phone calls. The biggest reason I'm against cold calling is that salespeople hate it. We know that in selling, attitude is everything. If you've got a positive attitude, you love what you're doing, you love what you're selling, you're going to get people to be attracted to you because people want to be with those who are positive and successful. If you do something like cold calling that destroys your attitude, negativity happens. Okay, we've all been in a rut where we're not selling, we just can't seem to get the sales, we can't seem to be able to get out of it. We've also been on a roll where no matter what we do, we keep selling, selling, selling. Now everybody thinks it's luck. It's not luck. It's about what you're subcommunicating through your attitude. When you're on a roll, you're happy and you're positive, people pick up on that and they buy. When you're in a rut, you're down and you're negative, people pick up on that and they don't buy. You're saying the same words, making the same presentation each and every time, and yet one attitude will put you in a rut, another one will put you on a roll. And so there are the basic reasons why cold calling doesn't work.